America. My name's Dan Bosse, president of Ag Resource Company, Chicago, Illinois, coming to you to talk a minute about what's going across the agricultural markets. A big rally. The markets are up substantially, $1.10 in corn, $1.30 in soybeans, 60 to 70 cents in wheat over the last month. All of this is due to inclement weather. Record rains, cool temperatures has limited planting progress. These heavy rains go all the way back to last October. Farmers are just suffering through all of this, and yes, it really is a disaster out across the Midwest. Saying that, let's try to encapsulize where we're at. First of all, we've got a lot of corn we're carrying forward. 2.3 billion bushels is what Ag Resource sees. It's a monster and a mountain of corn that's coming in from old crop. We expect U.S. old crop exports to be lowered another 100 million bushels. Along with that, we see a very big wheat crop. U.S. wheat end stocks will be well above 1 billion bushels this year, so there is a feed component. The record feed use in the United States is 411 million bushels back then in the 1980s. Let's just put into perspective where losses might be. The biggest loss in U.S. corn trading history in terms of crop size is 2012, a little over 4 billion bushels due to a dire drought. One of the most disastrous droughts looking backwards to the old Dust Bowl days of the 1930s. When we look at terms of percentage losses of the crop, 1988 stands out where we lost 32% of the corn crop. 1993, which is a flooding year, we lost 25% of the crop that year. If we did the same this year, this would take the U.S. corn crop down to about 11.2 billion bushels. Now, as you look at last week's WASDE report and you look at this skew, I'm putting up this corn price skew now relative to stocks, you can see that we're now digesting about somewhere around 2.2 to 2.4 billion bushels when December corn was somewhere in the vicinity of 470 a bushel. Now that makes it really tough in a wet weather year to buy corn because it's not a drought. It's not something we see every day. Some crops are improving some places, others not. It's really going to be day to day in terms of wet weather and what weather offers us over the next 60 to 90 days. That being said, we think the corn market still may have some upside potential, but because we have this record large world stocks and we have the abundance of supply from Ukraine, Brazil, and Argentina, it's difficult in our work if we look at that same stock use and use that 11.2 billion bushel corn crop to really get December corn futures much above 525 or 550 a bushel. That seems to be the worst case. So when you got corn December trading at 470 a bushel, it's hard to get really bullish unless you want to see a wet weather problem or something that would accentuate the losses beyond where we are today. It is a disaster across the Midwest. There's no debating that. The question is, with the abundance of world supplies, a big U.S. wheat crop, and a big carryover of corn, how much higher do we need to go? That's something we'll be looking at Ag Resource in coming weeks. Thanks again for joining me. We'll be talking again.